Welcome to TOOP TV's newest segment, Fireside Chat. The original Fireside Chat was a regular radio show used by presidents to inform the public of the latest issues. It originated in 1933 and ran until 1944. But now the Fireside Chat is back and we're using it to tell you about the latest real estate issues. It's uninterrupted interviews with the experts in the know. So sit back, relax and enjoy Fireside Chat.
Welcome to TOOP TV Fireside Chat, and today we have an exclusive interview with one of the most high-profile, most influential people in Australia. But before we get to introducing our guest, let me just give you a bit of background. Many years ago, I purchased a property at 19. In those days, you had to have a savings record to get a loan. So Sylvia, my girlfriend at the time, and later my wife, had from a child at school been in a savings plan with the Commonwealth Bank. So she had a savings bank account with the Commonwealth Bank. When it came to getting a loan for our matrimonial home, of course I was unable to get one because I'd already had a loan and with no other savings record. So it was Sylvia that came to the rescue. Now from that day on, we were with the Commonwealth Bank with our housing loan, opened the business in May of 1985, some 6 years later, and then of course the business accounts just by default ended up with that same bank, the Commonwealth Bank. Now the family had the National Bank, ANZ Bank and various other banks, but we were there with our housing loan and we rolled straight into it. Over many years the account got bigger, we had trust accounts with quite a few dollars invested, and then later in 2005-06 we had nearly left the bank several times and then something dramatic changed. And that change really goes back to the time that this man, Mr. Ralph Norris, the CEO and MD of the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, joining us here today. Ralph, welcome.
Thanks very much, Anthony.
Now, before we get into it, I just want to explain how lovely it is to see you almost putting on the Wallaby scarf.
Well, Anthony, I think this is a great scarf, and I've worn this scarf or worn jerseys of this colour in the last few weeks, particularly Australia versus Ireland. But you're right, I am a Kiwi. And the one beside you is the one that's probably my favourite.
It was great to see the World Cup. I didn't particularly like the result, but you guys seem to be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, we were pretty happy.
Anyway, well done on that. But Ralph, I just wanted to really start to dig in a bit, find out. This is a fireside chat. It's really to find out about Ralph Norris, and then we would like to end the program talking about property and where you see the market heading and how the banks are looking and so on. So let's get underway. First of all, born in Auckland, just give me a rundown on Ralph Norris.
Yeah, I was born in Auckland back in the late 40s and brought up in a state house, which was a commission type house. My mother ended up being a single, she was married, and then we ended up being a situation where Mum left our dad, or our dad left us. Okay. And so that was when I was about 10 or 11. So I came up on the other side of the tracks, and I have to say my mum really set a great example for my brother and myself in the fact that she worked really hard. There were no such things as benefits in those days, and she made sure we worked hard, so we had to make sure that we were augmenting the household income with paper rounds and cleaning in the local shop and stacking shelves in supermarkets and things like that. And so I suppose I got a sense of being industrious from her. And so I look back and think that she really set a great example for both me and my brother, and both of us have done reasonably well.
Just the two in the family?
Just the two of us, yeah.
Okay. And so when did you start to really get into the corporate scene?
Well, I left school and became a commercial cadet with the Mobil Oil Company, and that was due to the fact that I was reasonably mathematical. And then I decided after about 18 months there that I really wanted to get into computer programming. So I joined the local savings bank, which was the Auckland Savings Bank, and sat the IBM aptitude test and scored a pretty good score. As a result of that, the bank offered me a job and offered to pay for my education as a computer programmer.
And that was around 67? Or?
No, that was 69.
69,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then Savings Bank, from cheating a bit, looking at your Google records, some pretty big things that you did for the Savings Bank?
Yeah, I mean, I had a great opportunity to come in on the ground floor. Computing had only recently taken hold at the bank, and and I got some pretty interesting projects to work on. So I ended up introducing the first ATMs into New Zealand, the first FPOS system into New Zealand, built a pretty significant credit card system, which is now used in China as the main credit card processing system in China. So yeah, it was a great time.
All right. So you went from the bank, the Auckland Savings Bank, then into?
Well, I stayed with the Auckland Savings Bank and became chief executive there, and Commonwealth Bank acquired 75% of the bank in 1989. I became chief executive in 1991. I was there as chief executive for 10.5 years and retired with a health problem back in 2001, and thought that my days as a chief executive were over, Anthony, that I'd spend my time on the golf course and being a non-executive director.
Well, you're looking well now.
Well, actually, it's amazing that I have to say that David Murray, my predecessor at the Commonwealth Bank, at my retirement function spoke to my wife about how ill I looked, and he arranged for me to see a specialist in Sydney, who I have to say put me back on the straight and narrow as far as my health was concerned in a matter of a few months. And as a result of that, I ended up being asked by my fellow directors, because I had gone onto the board of Air New Zealand, to take on the chief executive role there in 2002. That's
a big jump, isn't it? So tell me about that. I'm a bit interested in the health thing. So was it diet or?
I was basically, I'm type 1 diabetic, and I've been doing a lot of travelling, and my diabetes was just getting out of control. The management of it was not good, and if I'd continued doing the things I was doing, then I was probably going to end up being a very sick puppy.
My father had diabetes, so I've got diabetes, and my grandmother, so keeping an eye on it, but it can be quite nasty. All okay now?
Yeah, no, fine. It's well managed now. I'm a type 1, so I'm insulin dependent, and it's a matter of making sure I exercise, good diet, and making sure that I'm dosing myself with the appropriate amounts of insulin at the appropriate time.
We're looking great. Now, Air New Zealand, I flew over on one of those beautiful new jets, and you had a lot to do with the seating on those.
Yeah, when I moved into Air New Zealand, the organisation was pretty demotivated after the Ansett debacle, and had just recorded the largest corporate loss in New Zealand corporate history at $1.4 billion. And so it was a very demotivated organisation. And the company over the previous decade had lost its way, its service ethic had been largely forgotten, and the quality of the product was poor. And so with the recapitalisation that took place, we were able to set about reinventing the airline, developing a new product for the airline from the point of view of the economy seating, premium economy, and also Business Premier, which was the product that you would have had the experience with last week. And it's really turned the organisation around, and in the last couple of years has had 2 Airline of the Year awards internationally, and last 3 years been Best Airline in Australasia. So the team's done a great job.
Ralph, there's a link and there's a reason for me asking about Air New Zealand. The people on the plane were unbelievable. They were friendly, very helpful, and noticeably upper level on a lot of airlines. And now I want to go back to our starting story, with a lead into the discussion. Something happened in 2005. There was from our own experience, and this is not a third-party experience, our personal experience, it went from actually quite disliking the bank to one of, I don't know, it happened reasonably quickly, probably over 18 months. The new account manager was on the ball, couldn't do enough for us, called us back, wasn't calling us just trying to sell us products, just calling to see how we were going. What happened? What did you do to the airlines, and what did you do to the bank that you could pinpoint that's made those kind of differences?
Well, Anthony, firstly, if I go back to the airline, the airline had a view that its business was about flying planes, and when I got there, it was really about changing the attitude that the business was about flying people. We use the planes to fly people, so let's concentrate on making sure that the experience for our customers was a first-class one. Now, moving to the bank, your experience was not unusual, and when I first joined, I had a lot of customers who were very unhappy with the quality of service, quality of products, and the like, and so I set about a strategy of really focusing on our customer service, improving our products, improving our technology, and very much improving the underlying culture in the organisation. Because I'm a great believer that business in the end is just about people. It's about people, the way that they carry out their work. It's the way they interact with the people who are your customers. And so therefore, if you don't get the culture in the organisation, one that's vibrant, one that a culture that people feel proud of, then you're not going to be successful with your customers. So the first thing you have to do is to get strong people engagement. And when you get people engagement, you then find that you tend to get good customer engagement, and customers start to very much realise that the organisation is changing, that the organisation is focused on their customers, and you become even more successful because customers then become prepared to do more business with you. And that's been a very virtuous cycle for us over the last 5 or 6 years. So I've been really delighted to just see how our people have reacted, the way they've gone out to support our customers. And as a result of that, the last 4 years we've won 3 Bank of the Year awards. 2 of those have been back to back. We've been won the prize last year for the Best Customer Service Organisation in Australia for large organisations. 2 weeks ago, Australian Market Research named us Best Customer Service Bank in Australia, and we've won accolades both locally and internationally. And at the same time, we've also seen a significant improvement in our financial performance. So it just goes to prove that if you invest in people, you make sure that people feel valued, they'll do the right thing by your customers, and then you suddenly find that you're also being more successful financially.
Now, Ralph, this is the bit, that's the gold bit. This is actually what the interview's about, all right? I understand the relationship between customer service and outcomes, and that is clear from my own experience and from the airlines and the numbers there to prove that. But as a CEO and an MD, and I'm an MD or a CEO, but my business is mini like one of your branches almost. But how did you change the culture? Like, we've had a CEO of our business that we had for about 18 months, 2 years, who changed the culture in a completely different direction to the one that I believe in. So I'm in the process right now of reviewing and trying to implement a whole new thought processes, get the culture back completely focused on customer service. Not that we were way offline, but we drifted away. And with the changing market, I see it absolutely critical to our success to get that customer service level back up. How do you do it?
Well, it's hard work. I mean, it doesn't come easy, and what it means is that the chief executive and the senior management of an organisation have to walk the talk. I mean, you can't delegate.
Completely agree.
You can't delegate it. You've got to actually get in there, roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. And certainly that means you've got to have processes, you have to have frameworks, you have to have measurement systems to make sure that you're achieving the outcomes that you want. You don't want to make it too complicated, but you want to make sure that people understand that there's a real focus on it. And the best way that I've been able to do that is that we use our CBA TV channel that we use through the organisation, a la what you're doing here today, Anthony. We also I use email, so every week I'll send to every staff member an email message, and in that email message I will call out one of the great customer service highlights that I've seen during the previous week. So people will see their names being mentioned, and the customer extolling the virtues of what our staff member has done, and so that builds a very strong culture within the organisation that they know that people know that there's real recognition here. Also make sure that we've got programs of reward, calling people out and making sure that that they realise that hey, these things don't go unnoticed. I will ring our people. The best examples of customer service every week. I'll ring some people. They'll hear me on the phone, and they think, I can't believe it. But I'll also ring where there have been problems, and not to give somebody a kick in the backside, but to ring them and ask them, well, how did this get out of control? What happened? What have we learnt from it? And what could we do next time to make sure it doesn't happen again? So I'll talk to the staff member concerned and also their manager. And so, initially when they know I'm asking about the issue or the problem, there's a degree of obviously hesitancy and all the rest of it. But when they know that I'm coming from the direction of saying, hey, I don't want this to happen again, and there's no point shouting down the phone at somebody, it's about making sure that the person knows that I take it seriously, and what I'm trying to do is to find a way to help them to make sure it doesn't happen again.